Hello everyone, my name is Glenda with SureFit Designs, and today we're going to focus on a refinement or minor tune-up that might need to happen with your pants. A few weeks ago, a customer sent me a photograph and it looks like this. She said my pant leg is swinging inward, and you can see that. It's coming, the swing or the drag is coming from the outer edge of the ankle up towards the inseam, past the knee, and into the crotch line. Is there a help for that? And the answer is absolutely yes. And it's a very, very easy refinement or minor tune-up to do. But one thing I should say is that this happens very, very rarely. In fact, it just depends on your body stance and your body configuration if something like this does occur. But the good news is that this minor tune-up or refinement is found in your pants kit instruction book on page 13, number 9A. So now we're going to take a look at exactly what to do with your pattern in order to refine it. And as you well know, once you've got this refinement done, anything that you do afterwards in terms of designing with your pant legs, it's always going to fit you properly. So let's take a look at how to make this change. All right, now we're going to take a look at the front of the pattern. And how we're going to do this refinement is by taking a wedge or like a horizontal dart from the side seam. We're going to remove some of the length on the side seam, going to nothing at the inseam. And so the first thing to do is establish where on the pattern that we're going to do this. In the instruction book, it actually shows doing this horizontal dart or wedge in the low hip area. But I'm going to actually recommend, in this case for Kelly, that it happen in the high thigh area. And so I had her measure down on her body, down into that high thigh region. And then what I had her do was pin a horizontal tuck until the leg straightened out. And you can see from this photograph that that's exactly what happened. Now, the reason that there are little drag lines coming from the pinned area is just because of that. This is all pinned in here. But you can see what happened is that basically straightened out the leg in comparison to the leg that has not been pinned with this horizontal wedge or dart. So now we're going to take a look at the pattern. You will want to mark the distance on the side seam of your pants where you've pinned that dart out, and then you will draw a line that is perpendicular from the side seam all the way over to the inseam, and it's perpendicular to the straight of grain. And of course, the easiest way to do that is to work on a grain board. So I just lined the straight of grain up on one of the grains and I drew straight across. Now I'm going to cut open on that line, but before I do, I just place a little piece of tape on the inseam because that's going to become the hinge point. The other thing that I have pre-done here is I've cut from the outer edge of the tracing vellum up to that inseam. Well, actually, I just taped over top of it, so I'm going to cut it one more time, just like that. Now, I'm going to cut on this green line all the way across to that hinge point, like this. Now, before I start moving this and overlapping on the pattern, the same amount that was overlapped on the fabric, what you need to do is simply measure the width of the little dart or tuck that you've made and mark that on either side of that cut line, like this. So that's the width of the horizontal dart. Overlap this pattern like this until those lines overlap one on top of the other where your markings are. And then I'm just going to tape this down like this. And so this has totally removed that extra length that was on the side seam, and you could see from that previous photograph that it straightened out the leg. Now, you'll also notice what has happened is that the straight of grain has gone a little bit crooked. So in order to straighten that back up, you redraw the straight of grain from that pant leg and take it straight up. And again, this is so easy to do working on your grain board. And I'll just draw that in pink so that you can see it. And there's your new grain line. Another thing that you need to true up is the inseam. And so you just take your designing stylus and you want to true this up so that you don't get an outward jog in the pattern. And of course you would add your seam allowances back in place. And then you do the same thing on the side seam. You're going to just take your designing stylus and true or blend this curve so that you don't have it dipping in like that on the side of your leg. And then of course you add your seam allowances. So that's how easy it is to make this refinement or modification. And because we did this on the front of the pattern, we now need to do this exact same thing on the back of the pattern. One other thing that I should mention to you is that you have removed this width in your side seam length of your pant. Depending on how long you cut your pant, you may in fact need to add that length back on at the hemline. But once again, if you do it on the front of the pattern, you do it on the back of the pattern. So now we're going to look at the back of the pants and see that we've done exactly the same thing as I did on the front of the pant. At the side, I have overlapped the amount that is required for that dart, and then I've wedged it to nothing at the inseam, and of course this was the hinge point. And when that occurred, I then trued the inseam, and I also trued the side seam to get rid of any little dips or bulges that might have occurred. And I also extended the straight of grain coming straight up from the leg into the top portion of the pants, and you can see that I've done that in pink. And so once you've got all of these little truing aspects completed, then I do recommend that you do another test muslin of your pants to see how this refinement worked for you. So now we're going to take a look at the before and after on Kelly. Here's an example of the front of the pants, the before and the after, and you can see such a marked difference in how that leg is hanging. The fit is really, really perfect now. And here's the before and after of the back of the pants. You can see how well they are fitting her. That's just absolutely excellent. And here's a side view of before and after. And I do need to thank Kelly for sharing these photographs, not only on her blog, but with all of the SureFit Designs viewers, because you can see that if this situation occurs for you, how easy it is to do this refinement or minor tune-up. You may or may not need it. And for those of you who are not aware, please go to the video library that you'll find in the new SureFit Designs Learning Center. It's called www.sfdlearningcenter.com. And there you're going to find all kinds of video helps when working with your SureFit Designs patterns.